everyone and welcome back to the Geordie Journos. As you can tell, it's just me today by myself. Dom and Liam are enjoying some time off, so I've been left to fly the flag high for the Geordie Journos. Just been speaking to Eddie Howe this morning at the media centre. I was going to do the video at the back of the media centre where me and Dom usually position ourselves, but yeah, the grass cutters are working on the Whitley Park pitch, so I tried and I relocated here at Wallsend Boys Club, the new Wallsend Boys Club, not the Wallsend Boys Club I remember. That now has houses built on it, the bottom of Station Road, but still an iconic name, the Wallsend Boys Club. So I try to be clever and do a video from here, but as you can tell, I think the wind is picking up here as well. So I'm going to do the press conference review inside. Hopefully that's okay. As I say, I've tried. Very windy, so yeah, we'll see you back in a couple of seconds. Well, no wind or grass cutters inside my car. Apologies that this isn't the scenic background I'm guessing you guys would have hoped for, but the gods were against us or against me this morning when trying to record a video outside. So yep, we're in the car and we're going to talk about Eddie Howe's press conference. Spent around 30 minutes with the media this morning previewing that Liverpool game, and we'll start on injuries because we always do start with injuries on this channel. Positive news on the injury front actually. Sandro Tonali, who missed a couple of days training last week with a hamstring issue, was only deemed fit enough to be on the bench against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. Of course, came on in the 70th minute, got through that 20 minutes unscathed, and now, according to Eddie Howe, is fully fit. So I'd expect him to probably return to the starting 11 tomorrow night. But Joelinton might return. Eddie Howe said he was close. Same with Sven Botman. I think out of those two players, Sven Botman is more likely to be involved tomorrow than Joelinton. It still feels a little bit too soon for Joelinton, especially when he's asked about Joelinton the second time round. Eddie Howe was, and his answer didn't backtrack, but it sort of gave the impression that Joelinton may need another few days. So I think the Brighton game for Joelinton, but tomorrow Sven Botman feels like a real possibility. Said he was close, progressing quickly. So yeah, to have him back involved would be a big plus for Newcastle United, one of Newcastle's outstanding defenders. And if he is available, we'll give Eddie Howe the option of going to a 3 at the back. Maybe, but yeah, we'll have to see what tactics Eddie Howe comes up with tomorrow. He was asked about playing his poker face out of that Carabao Cup final in a few weeks' time now. Could Eddie Howe play something completely different to throw Liverpool off? He sort of played that down, said it was a game in isolation. He would try and win sort of every game before, or judge every game by itself, not with the Carabao Cup final in mind. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Eddie Howe will just obviously put out a team that hopefully wins the game. But yeah, such a difficult task is Anfield, which we'll come on to in a bit. So yeah, the one thing that I was going to ask about, but it was asked before it came to me, was the goalkeeping situation. Martin Dubravka, of course, had started the last 14 out of 15 games for Newcastle United. Could have gone to Saudi Arabia in January, committed his future to the club, signing a 1-year contract extension, and then within 3 days of signing that contract extension, Martin Dubravka is out of the team and Nick Pope is being reinstated. And I said on Sunday's video, I said that it felt harsh on Martin Dubravka, and I'm not against Eddie Howe's decision to recall Nick Pope. I understand why he did it. Eddie Howe explained his reasons for why he recalled Nick Pope, and it's really hard to argue otherwise. But yeah, from Martin Dubravka's perspective, I think he'll be really, really disappointed. And yeah, Eddie Howe had spoken to Martin Dubravka about the decision, said it was a difficult conversation, but expects Martin Dubravka to respond in the right way. And then yeah, he spoke really highly of Nick Pope in the I think it was probably 20 minutes later, and obviously in the same press conference when he said that Nick Pope was on the best, if not the best, shot stoppers in the Premier League. So it was an interesting one. I think yeah, the timing was interesting because Martin Dubravka had only signed that contract extension, but I think now it's Nick Pope's position to lose, and I do think if Nick Pope remains fit, we'll play every game up until that Carabao Cup final, and we'll probably get another in the Carabao Cup final. Such a hard the goalkeeping position because it's only one position, but I think, reading into history, if you like, rightly or wrongly, Nick Pope is Newcastle's number one. when Eddie Howe first signed Nick Pope. It was the first day of the season against Nottingham Forest, the first game after Nick Pope had Premier League game after Nick Pope had signed, and he played Nick Pope at Martin Dubravka that day. Martin Dubravka goes to Manchester United, and yeah, he's been back in since then. Martin Dubravka only when Nick Pope's been injured, and yeah, when Nick Pope's back up to speed, then Nick Pope gets the nod. I think that was made quite clear on Sunday. But on the subject of goalkeepers, Martin Dubravka was asked about James Trafford, the Burnley goalkeeper. Now, a lot of noise around James Trafford and a potential summer move to St James's Park. My colleague at the Daily Mail, Craig Hope, has reported that he's expected to complete his move to Newcastle without any hitches. Fabrizio Romano claims that there's been personal terms were agreed last summer, which I know to be true. But apparently that agreement is still in place as a verbal pack, as Fabrizio Romano described it. So a lot of noise pointing James Trafford in the direction of St James's Park this summer. Eddie Howe asked about that. His answer typically gave nothing away. Said that the summer transfer isn't opened yet, so he doesn't think the club are having those type of conversations. So yeah, in very much Eddie Howe fashion, he said nothing. But yeah, based on those noises there, it does sound like James Trafford will more likely become a Newcastle United goalkeeper than not, which I've always been for the James Trafford deal. I remember last summer when the rumours first came about and we sat in Dom's backyard, and I was very much in favour. I see the potential with James Trafford, a young goalkeeper, really highly rated in the England setup. I think his reputation last season was sort of, I wouldn't say tarnished, but I do think his reputation took a hit. Was signed for a decent fee from Manchester City, thrown straight into Premier League action. By the end of the season, he'd found himself out of the team, and I do think it was a very, very difficult season. I think judging him off that, I think it's probably fair that people would say, well, maybe he isn't the right man for Newcastle going forward. But I think he's restored a lot of his reputation in the Championship this season. I think it's 12 consecutive games without conceding a goal, which is a phenomenal run. Quite incredible at any level. I think that's really, really impressive. Burnley are breaking records, clean sheet records, defensive records in the Championship, which I think if they continue on the same trajectory as they are in the Championship in terms of the goals they've conceded, it will probably be an English football record, and the James Trafford is a big reason for that. Maybe the feeling on James Trafford among Newcastle fans has changed because he saved those 2 penalties against Sunderland, endearing himself to supporters, because that was to save 2 penalties, I think, in stoppage time. It was incredible to watch, even sitting there as a neutral like myself, of course. But yeah, Newcastle have continued to watch James Trafford. They had scouts at Middlesbrough in December, I think the game was. It was a 0-0 draw at the Riverside. James Trafford has been identified as the man that Newcastle want and see as the long-term successor to Nick Pope. He's even been tipped to succeed Jordan Pickford at the England level by Scott Parker, his manager at Burnley, of course. So I think there's a lot of potential there with James Trafford. The recruitment team have watched him closely, and if they think he's the man that will be in Newcastle's goal for a lot of years, then I think you've got to back that. On the subject of transfers and transfer budgets, summer transfer budgets, of course, Yasser Al-Rumayyan was on Tyneside over the weekend. First watching that 4-3 win over Nottingham Forest, caught up with Eddie Howe in the tunnel after, had various conversations with other people at St James's Park. But the big meeting happened on Monday at Mafton Hall, and while I'm sure the summer transfer window will have been on the agenda, I don't think it was quite the biggest talking point. Of course, the biggest talking point around Newcastle United at the moment and what's going to happen in the future is the stadium, and that was what we're led to believe was the main talking point of the conversation. What outcome it is, I think, if you ask me now, I do think Newcastle are more likely to build a new stadium than stay at St James's Park, but a decision hasn't been taken yet. The club released a statement last year saying that there would be further updates in early 2025. We're now into March, so although we're not privy to what was said in that meeting, we can hopefully expect further communication regarding the decision within the coming months or possibly even weeks. But back to matters on the pitch, and what is going to impact Newcastle United in the short term is, of course, results and a busy running, if you can call it that yet. We're only in February, but 12 Premier League games left, I believe. So yeah, I'll call it a running, but I use that term lightly. But yeah, that starts at Anfield on Wednesday. The Premier League leaders, the Premier League champions in waiting, let's be honest, they're going to win the Premier League. I don't think anyone's going to come close to catching them. So all that combined with the fact that Newcastle haven't won at Anfield for 30 years. So if you're a betting man, you're probably not going to bet on Newcastle winning tomorrow night, and there has to be big improvements made from the last game and a half, or the first half against Manchester City, and then the second half at Nottingham Forest. If Newcastle put in that kind of performance against Liverpool, then they've got little chance. So Newcastle need to be at their absolute best, showing be aggressive, show intent, just get in the faces of Liverpool. I think Newcastle done that really, really well in the first leg. The opening Premier League game at St James's Park in December, Newcastle went toe for toe with Liverpool, and they've got to go and do the same again, because those games can become open. I think you've got two teams with similar styles, if you like. Look, Liverpool do it best, of course, but Newcastle have the ability to, say, be aggressive and counter-attack. And yeah, if they get in the face of Liverpool tomorrow night, space may open up for them, but it feels like an impossible task. It's such a tough place to go, Anfield. Newcastle have got a terrible record there, but I think lots of other teams are the same as well. So yeah, they've got to be at the best, and probably hope Liverpool aren't at the best. Let's hope. They've been there was a lot of celebrations after the Manchester City win on Sunday, from what I've been seeing on social media. So hopefully that's in Liverpool's heads, if you like. But yeah, a real tough task. I don't think Newcastle's season will be defined on what happens at Liverpool, but I just really hope they can put in a performance and not give Liverpool lots of confidence and let Newcastle lose confidence heading into that Carabao Cup final. I think it would be nice to know that Newcastle have competed with Liverpool, and in a few weeks' time you can point back to that game in the Premier League, and you point back to the game in December at St James's Park as a pointer where Newcastle can compete against Liverpool and potentially win the Carabao Cup.
Comply IT Limited. Worrying about disposing of your old IT equipment? Don't be. Comply IT handle everything. Secure collection, detailed tracking, and certified data destruction. That's Comply IT Limited. We've also got Mitigate. Mitigate enhances workplace mental health, helping businesses stay compliant, reduce absences, and unlock higher productivity, creating healthier, happier teams. And of course, our OG sponsors, Four Rivers Financial Planning. Four Rivers Financial Planning offer holistic financial advice for all stages of life, ensuring your plan remains robust and adaptable in the ever-changing world we live in.
What would my team be tomorrow? Well, I would definitely recall Sandro Tonali in that midfield. Nick Pope, as I say, stays in now, so in goal. Suspect probably be the same back four of Tino Livramento, Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, Lewis Hall, who I asked about in this morning's press conference, because I thought Lewis Hall, from an attacking point of view on Saturday, or even defensive point of view, actually both sides of his game, he was absolutely outstanding. And yeah, he's got quite a few assists this season, Lewis Hall, but I wouldn't say that the attacking performance I'd seen against Nottingham Forest from Lewis Hall, we haven't seen too many times from Lewis Hall this season. So I'd like to see more of that. Eddie Howe would like to see more of that, of course. Defensively made great strides. Will be dealt again what feels like another impossible task, although he did it fairly well against Liverpool in the opening game at St James's Park, and that's keeping Mo Salah quiet. But that's just not on Lewis Hall, it's on Newcastle United's midfield as well, particularly down that left hand side. Anthony Gordon will have to work hard. And then who starts on that left side of midfield? Probably Lewis Miley for me, although would you move Bruno across to the left hand side, because he did play a section of the game there against Nottingham Forest. So yeah, I think Tonali comes back into the midfield. Bruno, albeit I think needs to improve on recent performances, starts. He's the captain, can play in big games. And then it's the other side of midfield, the third midfielder, which probably brings a little bit of debate, but for me it's clear in my eyes, and I think that's got to be Lewis Miley. Joe Willock it was a really encouraging performance by Joe Willock on Sunday. The Joe Willock of old, I felt the 2022, 23 Joe Willock with sort of those surging runs forward, lots of energy, pace. But Lewis Miley for me is more of a just a better option. And the front three picks itself, doesn't it? Jacob Murphy, Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon. So that's a team I would play, and it's a team I would expect to play as well, unless there is a surprise inclusion such as Sven Botman or Joe Linton. So that's been my solo video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. Click the bell as well for your latest Geordie Journals content. The next time you'll see me, I'll be joined by Dom at Anfield, where hopefully we'll be reflecting on a positive Newcastle United performance, and who knows, maybe even a positive result. So we'll see you there.